know that I am washed in the blood of the precious Lamb, through the Father, through the Son, through the Holy Ghost.
Linda, come on in. Take your Bibles and turn to Proverbs chapter 31. We're going to start in Proverbs 31 today. It's good to see everybody. So we're missing some folks here. Let me read the first 5 verses of Proverbs 31. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy, and his mother that his mother taught him. What, my son? And what the son of my womb? And what the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. You know, endearing terms are very special. I think most of us have endearing terms for other folks. Loved ones can often create a language that is unique to them, even with words that are known by other people. And I think I'm going to maybe demonstrate what I'm talking about there. But those words have definitions that are unique to individuals. For instance, I can say the word Vladimir. And for you, you think that's a Russian name. But for Linda, I'm not going to tell you what it means, but it's something that she knows exactly what I'm talking about, and none of you know what I'm talking about. Those terms and ways to communicate that's unique just to us. And I'm going to show you that's what's happening here. Hey, Matt, how you doing? How you guys? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. So, unique individual terms. We're going to look at the Proverbs 31 lady over the next few weeks in Proverbs chapter 31. But the first few verses really lay the groundwork for who that balanced, godly lady is. It helps us understand what God expects a lady to be like. Hannah, our granddaughter, she's 8 years old. And she asked Linda the other day, Abuela, why do you always wear a dress? And she said, honey, because your abuela wants to be a lady. There's a difference between a woman and a lady. And we're going to find out over the next few weeks about this lady, a godly lady. We'll see that this lady is being honored by her son. In the last chapter of the book of wisdom, he saved, in my view, the best for last. He wanted to make sure that you and I saw what really helped form him into the guy that he became. That's what he's doing this. Even in the name Lemuel. The name Lemuel, in my view, is a term of endearment. It's a name given to Solomon by his mother, I believe, early in life. And the name reveals her aim for him, what she wanted him to be in life. The name Lemuel means to God or towards God or one devoted to him or somebody that belongs to God. That is what Samuel's mother, Bathsheba, wanted for him in life. Now, there are many scholars that say this is not Solomon, that this is the king from a nearby country. But this is not you can't view this book only in scholastic terms. It's a spiritual book. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that Lemuel is Solomon. I think it fits squarely with what we know about Solomon. And the wisdom that he showed in honoring the person that set him on a course for life that was right, I believe, indicates that this is also, that Lemuel is Solomon. And it makes perfect sense to me, that in chapter 31, as Solomon talks about his mother, that he uses the name that she used when they interacted with each other. Am I losing you? Do you understand what I'm saying? And he uses a name to talk about her as he describes her attributes. He uses the name that she used as they interacted with each other. Now let's go to verse number 1, and I'll get a little bit more deeper into that in just a second. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. Notice that last phrase there, that his mother taught him. One of the issues that we have today, in my view, in our society, is that we have a dearth, a lack of mothers teaching their children. Teach your children well. That sort of harkens back to a 1970 song. Teach your children. You know that one, Jo Beth, don't you? Teach your children right. Teach your children well. The words of King Lemuel. The first 5 words of that verse are not words spoken by the king, but these are words spoken to him. A pet name from his mother, Bathsheba, that she gave him when he was young. He thought it was fitting, very proper. It was endearing to him. It was honoring to him to use the name Lemuel because Mama always called him that. I think about our kids. To this day, Linda doesn't call Philip. She calls him Philly. Why? I don't know. But it's an endearing term. She still does that today. She doesn't call Michelle. She calls her Shelley. It's those endearing terms, and that's exactly what was happening here with King Lemuel. Now, I will not tell you what she calls Gerald. I can't say that in church. Yeah. Well, and a few other things. But in the name Lemuel, it's as if Bathsheba was saying, Lemuel, I want you to always think about God. I want you to always be walking toward God. I want you to always belong to God. That's what she was saying just by the very mention of that name, one that belongs and is devoted to God. What is the aim for our children? What do we want? I guarantee you, we want that for our children more than anything on this earth. I don't want them to have riches or fame. I want them to be towards God. There is nothing more important in life than that right there. That's where all joy resides. That's where contentment and happiness resides. And I pray, if you're a parent, that your desire in life is just like Bathsheba's for Lemuel, that you point them towards God and direct them to God. That's where only happiness and peace will reside, and she knew that. She knew that, and she was saying that with the name Lemuel. She was a mother also that had influence in the life of her child. She had access to him and felt at ease in directing his life. I think at times, as our kids get older, it's very easy to back up and not give that loving advice. I believe Solomon was on the throne here at this time, and she was still willing to tell him what he needed to hear, because she had nurtured a relationship where Solomon knew, Mom loves me. I'm going to listen to Mom. You parents of young children, nurture that relationship. Work on it. Don't let your occupational job be a priority, guys or gals. Let them and your family relationship be the priority in life. Period. Period. She was a mother that had influence and access to her son both before and after his ascension to the throne. And she was a mother that used that freedom and responsibility to guide away from the pitfalls of life. And there are pitfalls out there, let me tell you. And they're out to get you and you and you and me and you and all of us. She was guiding him away from the pitfalls of life that were sure to come after him. She was actively vocal, and particularly when she saw certain vices that were headed his way. She cautioned him against these vices. She wanted to make sure that he knew that these vices were harmful, and she was concerned about what was ahead in his life if he didn't watch out and if he wasn't always towards God. Her instructions here, let's look at verse number 1 again. The prophecies of King Lemuel, the words of King Lemuel, the prophecies that his mother taught him. Her instructions here are called prophecies. And I thought that was very interesting. Why would a mother's instruction be called prophecy? It's because she delivered it with foresight. And she had knowledge about the past that gave her foresight for the future and sins that would tempt him and potentially cause him harm. She knew his bloodline. She knew the problems that David had in life. And she knew the propensity for him to fall into the same trap. And she knew her sins. And she knew what she did with David when she was married to somebody else. And she knew that the potential for Solomon to fall into the same trap was there. And so with prophecy, with foresight of what could happen, she was warning him with everything that she had. And I don't mean to be blunt here. Maybe I do. You know what sins your children will struggle with. You know, because they're exactly the ones that I struggle with and that you struggle with. And you would be a wise parent to begin warning them about the pitfalls that are ahead, because they're the battles that you have faced in life. And a wise parent like Bathsheba, she warned with all that she had about the problems that Solomon was going to face. Do you hear me? You follow what I'm saying? She knew the bloodline. You know, Solomon learned a lot from his dad, and we hear about it over and over and over in the book of Proverbs. But in chapter 31 here, she is instructing him in things that could change the destiny and the course of his life. But sadly, he didn't listen. He did not listen. Go to 1 Kings chapter 11. 1 Kings chapter 11. Because he didn't listen, I want you to see what happened to him in life. You know, we hold Solomon in great reverence, and we should. He was a man of wisdom. But he was a man that didn't listen to the warning that his mother gave him in Proverbs chapter 31. 1 Kings chapter 11, beginning at verse number 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women. Solomon, I was telling you about that. That's going to be a pitfall in your life, and it's going to hurt and harm you. But he loved many strange women, together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Zidonites, and the Hittites, and he was a busy man. Of the nations concerning which the Lord already said, don't mess with those folks. The Lord said concerning the children of Israel, you should not go into them. neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. She was warning about that before it ever happened, because she loved him, and she knew the history, and she knew what he was going to be susceptible to. And she, with all that she had, she was saying, don't do this. Watch out. Verse where am I at? Verse number 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wife turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, and his 12 wives, and that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the god of the Zidonians, and the Malcoms, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Warn our children. Warn your children about what's ahead. Don't be shy and bashful. Warn them. Because I guarantee there's a reason God talks about the sins of the fathers going to the sins of the children. It's true, and it will happen. And the very thing you battle, the very thing you fight, is the very thing that my kids are going to fight and that your kids are going to fight. Warn them. Warn them. Verse number 2. What, my son? What, my son? In other words, what shall I call you? Though you're the king, what should I call you? Is there anything that I can say that will address you more suitably than son? Is there anything more endearing than son? So you get to see who I really view you as. I'm not trying to get anything from you in this life. She says, permit me, your mother, to speak to you as simply a son, and not as the king, but as this, I will tell you the truth. You know, I don't know in here who has been a leader at work or any other place, but you have the potential, when people are under you from an authoritarian standpoint, to placate you, to say things that they think you want to hear. She's saying, with what, my son? She's saying, I know you hear, you get yes men. You get people telling you exactly what you want to hear. You're my son. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. I'm going to tell you what's going to help you in life. I will convey what is needed. One of the things I hated about parenting more than anything was disciplining. I hated it. It seemed like at times in life, every time I walked through the door, Linda was saying, Jeff, you need to spank Gerald. I mean, it seemed like every day I was doing that. And I started realizing I need to say something to them about that. And I would tell my kids this. Probably said it too much because it probably become very routine for them. But I would tell them, I love you more than you can ever realize or comprehend right now. You have no idea the depth of love and concern that I have. You probably will never know until you have children of your own. And it's time for you to correct them. Heed what I'm telling you. Please heed what I'm telling you. This is not for me. It's only for you. What, my son? That's what she's saying to him. She's saying, I want good for you more than anything that I can think of. I will do without, and I will harm self to help you. She said, what I'm about to say to you, Lemuel, I want to convey the greatest help and important things that will help you in life, but you need to listen to me. Do we listen to our parents, younger folks, even 18-year-olds? Do you listen to your parents? You'd be wise to do that. I think Solomon was older than that here. This type of phrasing, "what my son," is really, it's a Hebrew way of conveying great and deeper things than what we read in just reading it in English. It was designed to grab his attention. It was designed to say, "Hey, listen to this." I mean, really slapping him in the face, the way that the Hebrew conveys this. It's slapping him in the face, and it's showing sincerity. It was doing this. It was opening the heart and saying, "I want you to see this and not just this." That's what she was saying with those words. And obviously, it worked, and he heard it because he wrote it down. It made an impact on him. Let your kids see your heart. Let your kids really see your heart. Let them see how much you love them. Marco, let them see how much you love them. Love your kids. This mother's heart, she's saying, what I'm asking for, the things the pitfalls I'm asking you to avoid, it's not for me. I don't want any part of your kingdom. I don't want to be made a ruler over some area like all these other people that come to you. She said, but I do have one favor, I guess. One favor that I want of you. Avoid sin. Avoid it. Keep away from it. Those are unbecoming of a prince. And you can't do the duty of a king when you're consumed by sin. And she talks about that later in chapter 31, and we'll talk about that over the next few weeks. Verse 2 continues. And what? The son of my womb? She's trying to dive down into the sincerity of what she's saying. She's saying, the one I bore in sorrow, the one I went to the death's door about, the one I had pain over, you, the one I would give all for, you I want to listen to what I say, the one I took a lot of care in raising and taking care of and ensuring that you were set on a righteous and a right and a holy path. You, she's keeping that chest open so that the heart is very clear and visible to him. Man, we need to make sure that our kids know our heart and we don't live and parent in a very superficial way, that they see what we really desire for them, we truly want for their life. Son of my womb, not an adopted son. You're part of my flesh. You're part of the bone and flesh that I have, and I've given to you. This is proceeding from pure love and affection for him. And it's solely for your good. Verse 2 continues. And what? The son of my vows? First she said the son of my womb, and now the son of my vows. The son who I asked God for. I remember praying for you after your dad and I lost your elder sibling. I remember being on my knees praying for you that God would give me a son. And he did. And I promised God that I would give you back to him. And I did. Just like Hannah did with Samuel. A son whom I have put up many prayers for in life. That you would lead a life toward God, Lemuel. For God, Lemuel. I prayed both for your temporal needs and your spiritual needs. I think it's really interesting how God gives depths of things that we just superficially pass over. The son of my womb, part of my flesh. I'm giving you of my flesh and life. Instead of my bowels, I'm giving you my heart and my spirit. I'm giving you everything that I have. I've left nothing out. If I can help you physically, I will. If I can help you spiritually, I will. I'm going to give it all. Give it all. Give it all to your kids, every bit of it. Give it to them. Give everything to your kids. And I got to tell you, even if my kids are old, they're as old as Brooke and Heather. That's really old. I would still give it all to my kids. I would. That's what Bathsheba was saying to Solomon. She was doing everything in her power to guide him towards God. It's one prayer that I have every single day of my life. And the number of people that I pray for this expands all the time. God, please draw Philip and Michelle and Gerald, and I name their spouses and I name their kids, closer to you. I don't care how close they are. I want them closer. And I beg God every day, draw them close to you. I would give all of my flesh and all of my spirit, my heart, for them. Verse number 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. I told you earlier, she had a first-hand seat in the life of David, and she saw it. Strength of body is weakened. Listen to me carefully. Strength of body, guys, is weakened with sexual indulgences. It is weakened. Go to Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5, starting at verse 1. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to mine understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, and sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of her life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy ways far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house, lest, this is the verse I want you to hear, lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. What is that talking about, to the cruel? It's talking about the devastation that's going to happen in your life, physically and I think spiritually and all other. Guys, stay pure. Stay pure. Or you're going to have problems in life that you can't undo. And you will pay for it the rest of your life. Strength of mind, reason, and wisdom are impaired by living a life like we saw in Proverbs chapter 5. You will not be all that you could be if we live the life where we give in to the appetites of the flesh. And I'll skip the rest of that because I don't want to be uncomfortable. Verse 3 continues, nor the ways to that which destroyeth kings. Don't give your thinking to the ways that will destroy you. Don't use the methods that ruin kings. I've heard this saying for decades, that there are three things that will ruin a man. Three things: wealth, women, and power. Stay away from those things that will ruin you. I could give you example after example. The one great thing about being an old man is you've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in life. And I could give you example after example of those lives that were ruined because a man got money. I could tell you about them. I could tell you way too many examples about a man that had his life ruined because of a relationship that he should never have had. And I could tell you a man that become a man of importance, and he knew it too. Watch out for those things that are destructive in our life. Solomon was given to women, and we saw that. This proved very pernicious in his life. It was destructive and detrimental to him, so much so that he stopped serving God. You know, I don't know about you. I can't, in my mind, I can't balance that. The wisest man that ever lived and what he became. I can't understand that. I think it shows me the most important thing in this life is not wisdom. It's being toward God, period. Verse number 4, and I'll hasten on. Let me get back to there. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. In other words, it's not fit for kings. It's very unbecoming for kings. It's dishonorable to kings when she says it's not for kings. Continuing in verse 4. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor princesses strong drink. You know, it may be lawful for somebody, a king, a prince, you, to take a drink. It may be lawful from a man's perspective, from a worldly, societal perspective, but in the end, somebody in authority shouldn't be doing that. And that is what she's saying here. Even though you can, don't. Even though it's legal from a law perspective, don't do that. I was probably 58 years old when this happened. Me and Linda went to a wedding of somebody we knew, and you know, wasn't the type of wedding that I would have. People were getting lit, just drinking, and I make sure whenever I'm in a situation like that, if I'm in a business role, I always have a glass of water, but I don't put it in anything. I make them give it to me in the bottle itself, so they know I'm not. Even if I was drinking water and something they serve alcohol in, they may think that's it. So I make them give me a bottle. We were at this wedding, and me and Linda, I think, were the only ones that were drinking water. And an old woman, she had to be, I don't know, Brother Eugene's age, you know. No, she was probably 75. I could see her coming over to me, and I knew she had a question to ask. And she got real close, and she said, AA? I said, no, KJV. And she had no idea what I was talking about. I told her, no, we don't drink. You know, even though I could leave here today, and there's not a person in this building that could stop me from going to get a drink. Nobody. But I know it's not right. I know that it would hurt me. I know it's not what he wants. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink. There are things in life that we can legally do. There are. But it's not for if we want to please him. And we need to know what those things are. It's a king or a judge or a leader should make right decisions in life. My sister, one of my sisters, was the head investigator for the DA's office in Madison County, Alabama. And I was with her one day in her car, and we were going down the road, and the speed limit was something like 45 miles an hour. She's going about 65. I said, what are you doing? I mean, just flying. And I said, what are you doing? Oh, if they stop me, I'll just show my badge. I said, that's not right. That's not right. Enforcers of the law should be held to the highest standard of the law. You should not be doing that. It is wrong. Parents, the enforcers of the law should be held to the highest standard. And you ought to hold yourself to a standard higher than what you hold your children to. It is important. This is an aside, and I'm going to say it anyway because I want to say it. We wouldn't have the issues with the perception of police today if they held themselves to the highest standard and we knew that they were making sure they were policing themselves to a higher degree and level than they hold the public to. It would eliminate 75% of the issues that we see around police today. The point that they're making here, and I'll end with this, the point that Bathsheba is making to him is, because you can do something, don't do it. Know what's right. And if you're holding the people to this standard, raise it up some and be at a level higher than them so that they can look at you with respect. If our police force did that, we would look at the police with respect broadly across society. If parents held themselves to a higher standard, their kids will look at them with a lot of respect.